What's up, everybody? It's Stephen Williams, founder and president of the creditrepairshop.com. And in today's video, we're going to talk about the debt that's being released into the market. We're going to talk about time barred debt, which this is mostly this type of debt. We're going to answer some questions, talk about some positive thinking. So let's get started with the debt that's being released on the market. We have a payday lender, nationally known payday lender, $3.5 million in bad payday loans, average balance $810, 4,351 accounts. Average charge-off date was 2012. So for most states, it's past statute of limitations. And what they're buying, they're selling this debt when it's all said and done. The amount that they're selling the debt for is 0.0009 cents on the dollar, 0.009 cents on the dollar. So you can see that there's always a possibility of settling debts, but I'm going to go into why you shouldn't be paying this one if you happen to get a letter from a collection agency about this. But they buy these debts at a very low price, and it's like they're just at the poker table, and they're just trying to see who they can uh, give that poker face into making them pay, even though they don't have to pay. There's another group here. This one here is well-known credit cards, national banks, and a national gas card. Now, I'm going to mention the companies because it will get the video uh, audio taken off the video. 1,919 accounts, $2 million even. So we got, let's see what they're selling. Selling this for less is 0.001 cent on the dollar. Average balance is $1,042. Charge off date 2007. Again, this is time barred debt or debt that's past statute of limitations. Here's another group here, installment loans. Let's see, who is it from? Not saying who it's from, but this is the installment loans, probably a department store type credit cards. National lender, 492 accounts, $1.1 million. Average charge off, or the charge off date 2014. So it could be within the statute of limitations or not past statute of limitation for some states. For my state, it would be past statute of limitations. Let's see, 1120. Let's see what amount they're selling this for. See what amount they're selling this debt for. It's less 0.002 cents on the dollar for what they're selling this for. So this debt is not uh, able to be collected. We have another group here from one bank, one of the national banks, well known, $5 million, 512 accounts, average balance $9,765. Charge off date 2010. Past statute of limitations for most states. Let's see here the amount. Let's see here. 5 million. 0.001 cent on the dollar is what they're selling these accounts for. So you can see why a debt collector will take the risk for this portfolio. They can buy for $5,000, and the average account balance is $9,765. And what they're going to try to do, number one, if this debt is past statute of limitations, what they're going to try to do is send out the demand letter, which is something that they always send out. And if a person doesn't respond to that demand letter, it's going to take it to the next step. You give them permission to go to step two. Step two is to place it on the credit reports. When it's placed on the credit reports, people start panicking. They don't know what's going on. Credit score sinks down. They're like, hey, why is this on there? Then one or two things happen. They say, I never had this debt, which is possible. There's a lot of times that the account names, people's names are similar and it gets mapped over. Or they remember having that debt and they're like, oh, hell, they done caught up with me now. So what I got to do, I don't want to ruin my credit. I don't want to have them calling my job, calling my boss, trying to get a garnishment, none of that. They're not focused on what's going on at that time. They're getting emotional and they're thinking about all the bad things that could happen. When all they have to do is settle down and look at the debt that someone is trying to come after them for. And when you get that first letter, you look at the statute of limitations for your state. Every state has different statute of limitations laws for contracts. If it's past the statute of limitations, all you have to do is simply write them a letter back notifying them that it's past statute of limitations. At the bottom of this video, I'm going to put a link where you can get a free letter from me. Free letter from me that I use all the time to notify a debt collector that they're trying to collect a debt that's past statute of limitations. And this letter will make them stop collecting. Now, if you bypass that letter, you for some reason you just didn't respond to it, or it's not past statute of limitations. Also, with that is with that letter that you can get for free by clicking the link below, you can also get a letter that will respond to them to make them validate the debt. Uh, just because you had the debt before does not mean when a debt collector buys it that they've got all of the information to prove that the debt is yours. They must have everything. They can't just have the last statement. They can't just have a letter from the company that they bought the debt from saying that, yes, so and so had a debt with us and we sold it to this debt collection company and they give a last statement and they show a little receipt book that your name was included in there. That is not good enough. That is not good enough. They may try to get away with it like that, but that is not good enough. So if it's past statute of limitations, you simply just write them a letter stating that it's past statute of limitations. They will stop. Uh, if it's not past statute of limitations, you need to do what's called a debt validation. If you don't do that, you're going to give them permission, legal permission, to go to step two, which is to sue you in court. Now, let's talk about time barred debt. I call it past statute of limitations because I think it's easier for people to understand. If something is past statute of limitations, we all know that it's not legal to take action on that. But in the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, there is a code in there for time barred debt, which means a debt collector cannot come after you for a debt that is past. They cannot legally. Well, I won't say they can't legally. They cannot. You are not legally bound to pay that debt if it's past the time barred period. But this is how they get away with it. Number one, they can legally try to get you to pay it on what's quote a moral standing. If you ever get a call from a debt collector and it says you do not have to legally, the way that they'll say it is that they're notifying you that the debt that they're trying to collect is past, is time barred. They'll use that. That's why they probably changed the name because they said statute of limitations, past the statute of limitations. That would bring up a big light in everybody's head. But when they say it's time barred, people are like wondering what the hell is time barred? Okay, time barred. Does that mean that it's time for me to pay? So when, and I've heard this call from people that are clients, and we've called debt collectors for them, and it'll say that we're notifying you that this debt is past time barred period, and that you are allowing us to talk to you about this debt. Don't quote me on the exact way that they say it, but they're notifying the person that they're trying to come after a debt that is past the statute of limitations, and they're tricking you into thinking that you have a moral obligation to pay it. This is the game that they play. They will put that on their on their recording, or the agent will say it to you in a way that makes you think that you have to talk to them about this debt. When, if you just did your research, looked on your credit reports, look at when that debt was originally charged off, go to your state's statute of limitations, and if it's past statute of limitations, you notify them with a letter. But if they call you, you also notify them. And I guarantee you that they would say, because it's being recorded, that they would say that we will take you off the list of calling about this debt. And then they might try to sell it to somebody else. But if you notify them in writing, you notify them over the phone, and they sell it to someone else and they come after you for it, the first thing that you do is you file a lawsuit, and you will get $1,000 from both debt collection companies. And at minimum, you'll get $1,000 from the debt collection company that either gave it back to the original debt collection company that gave it to them to try to collect, or to the company that they sold it to and they did not notify them about your dispute. So that is the way that you would handle that. And even if it's not past statute of limitations, you still have a right to fully validate the debt. And you will see that when you start to validate the debt, that a lot of these collection agencies will go away because they don't want to get involved in that type of debt collection. If the debt was 1 or 2 years old, yeah, they'll play that game. But if this is a debt that's past statute of limitations, they do not want to get into that game because they will lose if you know what you're doing. All right, so now let's get into some questions and answers. It's been I've been answering them off and on, but sometimes it gets tough when you got literally thousands of people. Okay, so let's get into answering some questions. We got one here, and we deal with this on a daily basis with a lot of clients. Is that they're getting garnished? Like, people will come to us and they're saying, I'm getting garnished, or I have a garnishment order against me. What can I do about it? Well, the number one thing that we always tell people to do when you get a garnishment order, or even if a garnishment is in place and you're having trouble paying it, is the first thing that you should do is to see if they can even legally garnish you. Just because you lost a judgment doesn't mean that they can garnish your money. I have videos on certain circumstances that they can't garnish any money if you're on SSI or any type of disability or retirement type income. They can't take that. But now let's look at people that are working a job, don't have, it's not SSI or some type of income like that. There are guidelines on the amount of money that you must make to be able to even be garnished. They can only garnish what they consider discretionary income, but we all know that any of the money that we get is not, we don't consider it discretionary. Our money goes out on what we want it to go out on, but the technical is that it's discretionary income, and that they can attach garnishments to that discretionary income, certain portions of it. So with this customer here, first thing that we do is we always tell people to go and look at the poverty earnings guidelines. That's what they call it here in our state. And what they do is they say if you don't earn over a certain amount of money and you have a certain amount of dependents, no matter what, if you get a judgment against you, they can't garnish your money. A lot of people, though, that what we find is that they are getting garnished their money because they don't know about this. The debt collector or the attorney is not going to notify you on this. All they're going to do is give you a worksheet, and off of that worksheet, they're going to say, well, based off of this worksheet, you should pay us $150 per week or $150 per pay period or whatever. And you don't. Most people don't even fill out that worksheet. They just fall in line with whatever the debt collector or the attorney for the company tells you. With this one here, they are attempting to garnish her wages. She owes $1,601, and they want to do the garnishment. They did not put the amount on there. They hadn't determined that yet. But after looking up the guidelines for our state, she will not be able to be garnished. So here are the guidelines. It says that if you earn weekly, uh, and we'll just start with her family size. She has six children, so they allow her to make $676 having six dependents before they can garnish any wages. And bi-weekly, she can earn $1,352, and semi-monthly can earn $1,465, and monthly $2,930. But weekly, she gets paid bi-weekly and only making $700. So, according to the laws in our state, she cannot be garnished. So, no matter what they try to do or whatever they've been doing, even if they've been collecting money, she would be able to get all of the money back that she paid because it would be an illegal garnishment. And just by simply notifying the creditor or the debt collection company or whatever, the lawyer that's going after the money, notifying them by simply writing a letter saying that she cannot be garnished because of the poverty guidelines, they would just cease all collection activities and move on to something else. So that's what we're doing for that client right now. Um, some other stuff that I saw that popped up, and let me just kind of comb through. A lot of people are still complaining about Santander, how they're getting away with stuff, and how nothing's going to be done. And all I say is that for the people that are always so so like you're in a lottery ticket type mentality, get that out of your head. This is going to be a fight. You have to keep fighting. You have to keep adjusting. You have to keep doing things to keep the pressure on them. I admit that when you see a company that admit all this wrongdoing, that you would just think that everything should just fall in line to uh, these payouts and the forgiveness and all that stuff. Even with that, it's going to be a fight. Even with that, it's going to be a fight. And we have gotten results from people that have either did their own demand letters or that we've done them for. There has been results. But I'm just going to tell you, for most people, it's going to be an uphill fight. And until you win the fight, you will not understand what type of battle you've been in because all you're doing is just taking all of the shots right now. Someone else put on here that they agreed to a settlement for less and paid. I'm not sure if they stated the question right. The way I'm taking is that you paid a debt for less, and then they sent the 1099 for the remainder to the IRS for the remaining amount. I think that that's what you're saying, and they're still reporting that you owe the full amount. That's a simple fix. All you have to do is notify them and notify the bureaus with a letter stating that this account should either be stated that it was paid or paid for less than. But when you do these type of settlements and you want to you should negotiate getting that removed at the beginning before you give them the money. Let's see here. Hold on, I'm going to pause and get to another question. Okay, here's another question, and this guy is tough. He's tough. He's very tough, and I appreciate uh, that he puts in the work. He said that he received a verification letter where they just sent him the front copy of one of the bills looks like a screenshot, no payment history, nothing with his social security on. There we go. That just opened the door, and I typed that in there for you. That opened the door for opportunities for you to use that information against them with the bureaus. Use their own information with a new dispute letter to the bureau stating that they have no proof that this account even belongs to you and that you immediately want it removed. That's going to circle around and go back to them, but now it's coming from someone official. And then let's see what happens from that. Keep up the good work on that. Let's go to another question. Okay, here's another question here. It says that never even got letters. They just put it on my reports. The ones that I have are medical bills and was not aware that they were paid. Um, yes, I know what you're saying that they didn't send you the letter. Maybe they sent you the bill. If it's still with the original creditor, what they would do is they would send you the bills for those medical uh, they would send you from the hospital or the medical provider was probably sending it to you, and they are hired. They hired out a debt collection company and are using that as the basis for placing on your credit reports. If it's placed on your reports as the medical provider, then basically they've done the step that you're probably thinking that they had to do, which is if it was a debt collector that either purchased the debt and they placed it on there in the debt collector's name, then yes, they would have had to send you a demand letter giving you the ability to the opportunity to dispute it. Okay, here's another question. If a judgment is showing on LexisNexis, but the collection company recently sent settlement options, is it smart to settle and will they remove it from LexisNexis after settling, or do I have to request deletion? Uh, if it's a judgment on your LexisNexis, this is the problem with that is that to get the judgment removed off of LexisNexis, you might have to take additional steps. But what you can do is you can try to negotiate all of that during the settlement process and see if they can would rescind the court record on that because that's basically what that's saying. That judgment is a court record. It's different than what's stated on your credit reports. But yes, you can negotiate to get that off. Everything's always negotiable. You can try to get them to remove it. Uh, because they were the furnisher that placed it on there some of the time. Some of the times with LexisNexis, they're just combing through public records and placing that public records information on there. So what you could actually do is you can ask them, uh, what is the basis for them putting that public records information into their database? Are they selling that information? What are they doing? Are they providing it to other companies? And are they selling that information because it would be inappropriate for them to be doing that? Okay, we have another question here stated that they sent the collection letters to the old address. Can they still take you to court? Yes, they can, because all they have to do is prove service. That's all they have to do is prove service. Uh, and by doing that, they could show that that was one of the last known addresses that they had for you. Okay, let's get to some more here. All right, so I'm going to end it here. I'm going to make another video right after this that's going to talk about the Santander. We got some good news from people posting here on YouTube. Again, if you need help with your credit, please visit thecreditrepairshop.com. If you need your credit reports and scores, please visit the number 3scores.com. Please subscribe to the channel. Please like this video. Please keep posting your comments and also get notified of new videos that are popping out that I'm putting out because that's very important for the algorithm because when you do that, you also help other people learn about this so they're able to get help with their credit and debt. This is Stephen Williams, founder and president of thecreditrepairshop.com, and until next time.